Ryan, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you tell us about the event here?
So today we have 3 different Minuteman companies. There's the Stow Militia, the Charlestown and Woburn Minuteman companies. And today we're portraying the life in 1775-76 Boston during the siege. At that time, militias, rather citizens of the countryside, were being taxed by the British government. And they felt it was rather unfair. So they openly resisted, and it all came to a head on April 19th, where the militia companies, who had been formed several months prior, opened fire on the King's troops, and they did a running battle back to Boston. After that point, British American soldiers camped around Boston to keep the British in camp, and they left after March of 1776. This camp portrays that military life during that time period.
I see you've got quite an encampment here.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of people here today.
And quite a fire pit, I see. You've been doing a lot of cooking, have you?
We have. We had both lunch and dinner yesterday, and we're having lunch today.
Excellent. And now have you fellows been sleeping out? I noticed there are an awful lot of tents here. Have you been staying out overnight here for the weekend?
We did. We had a few people stay over the night last night. It was pleasant. It wasn't too cool.
So this is the last day of the event. Is this the first time you've done this, or have you done this before out here?
This is the very first time we've done this event. The turnout was very impressive. The crowds were wonderful. Everybody seemed to have a great time.
So it looks like maybe we'll be seeing you again here next year?
I should hope so.
And we'll be looking forward to some more of this cooking.
I should hope so.
Brian, thanks a million. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this somewhat gray New England autumn day. My name is Captain Rick Lawson. I'm the captain of the Stow Minutemen, one of the 2 host units here today. On behalf of myself, my unit, Captain Coots, and also the Charlestown Militia, we thank you for coming out today. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a firing demonstration. We're going to fire two times. The first time we're going to take you through all 14 steps of the Manual of Arms. This was the same practice that both sides of the conflict of the Revolutionary War were using, at least in the early part of the war. The American colonial forces, they knew of this because just 12 years earlier was the French and Indian War, also in England called the 7 Years' War. And many men from Massachusetts fought in that conflict. So they would have trained right alongside the Redcoats just 12 years earlier. So they would have used this same Manual of Arms. So we're going to use that the first time through. And this is what they would have learned when they were drilling, and they would have learned this in muster, and they would have been going over and over and over and over from about the fall of 1774 right up until April 19, 1775, and then beyond. This is the manual that they would have been using, as well as the Redcoats who were garrisoned in Boston, who would be their opponents on that fateful day, were also using. Firing detail. Shoulder your fire lines. By the right about, face. Okay, everybody set? Prime and load! So they're going through all the steps themselves. They're taking out the cartridge, they're tearing it open, they're priming the pan, they're closing the pan, they're casting about, they're dumping the cartridge in there. If they had an actual musket ball, they put the musket ball in there, they'd put the paper in there, they would draw their rammers out, which they're not doing. They'd ram it all down again, and then they'd be ready to fire. And I said that in about 25 seconds. So if I wasn't talking you through each step, I could load and fire in about 20 seconds, which they could do. Set. Remember, loud noise. Make ready. Present. Fire. Push it all the way down to here. When you pull the hammer back, see how there was a spark? Spark hit this frizzen, push this forward, threw the spark into the pan, ignited that little trail of gunpowder, went in through the touch hole, just like a bottle rocket, would ignite the musket ball up the front. That's as simple as it was. Cartridge. It's a tube. It's cut out.
So all the action happens in there, right?
In here, yeah. It's cut out square, but one side is longer, so it's cut down at an angle. One side, and then longer, and then an angle. You would roll it on a wooden dowel, so you make a paper tube. What they would do in the 18th century is they would put the ball, the musket ball, in the bottom of the cartridge, pour the powder in, twist it shut, fold it shut, however they wanted to do it, and then be placed in cartridge barrels. Just drilled holes.
Because it wasn't treated and you rusted up very quickly.
So what you would do is we bit off the top, you'd pour a trail across there, close that, and then what you would do is you would pour the powder down, but then you would take the rest of the cartridge with the ball and just with your finger stick it in there, pull the ramrod out and jam it in there. We don't do that for safety reasons.
They don't know if they fired or not, so they might have misfired like we did a few times, and then put another one in. And then that's getting a risk.
You have a charge, you have another charge, and then you have a musket ball. And if either one of those or both of those explode, the problem is it can wedge it up and lock up in the tube. And then that explosion has no place to go but back. And it would blow up right in the face. And there were many weapons that were found after battle with multiple ball in them. And sometimes the breech, would either blow out the side or blow out the back, and it would just explode because it had so much gunpowder loaded into it. That actually happens sometimes sadly today with reenactors who double and triple load and don't realize it. And then when it finally goes off, it is such a big concussion it'll blow them over. It'll have recoil even though there's no projectile in the weapon. If you put a musket ball in this, it has the same kick as a 12-gauge shotgun. Without a musket ball in it, it has very little recoil at all because there's nothing for that explosion to be pressing against. So because of that, sometimes, especially for reenactors, it's hard to know if you've shot or not. When you double load and they both go off, or you triple load and they both go off, you know.
As does everybody around you.
As does everybody who's around you, and they all look at you. Okay, who brought the cannon? Sorry, my bad.
Captain Lawson, thank you for inviting us here. How was your weekend?
It's been really good. We had a good turnout yesterday. We didn't get to set up on Friday because of Mother Nature didn't cooperate there. So we set up first thing Saturday morning instead. And we had a huge crowd yesterday. We had a lot of fun. We had a small battle scenario with a couple of Brits against a couple of colonials. It was really small, but it was a lot of fun. The crowd liked it. And we've had a lot of success with our musket demos and our cooking demos and our company surgeon. So all in all, I'd say this has been a really good weekend. We're looking forward to doing this again next year.
I heard you had quite a breakfast this morning.
We had
bacon,
a very
eggs,
nice breakfast, bacon and eggs, and all these healthy things that my normal 21st century doctor would not let me have.
That's one of the positive side effects of reenacting,
yes.
I suppose. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for having us. It's good
thank
to
you for
see
coming. Thank you.